that just like I was thinking about as we were talking about this, do you guys think that like guys are less manly than they like used to be?
Oh yeah.
Like less like in the good ways, like the good kind of manly. Like is like a lot less than it used to be, and like do you think our culture is like encouraging them to be like even more like less like masculine in a good way? Does anyone have any thoughts?
Yeah, we'll let the girls go first. Do you start off?
Honestly, like, I have no idea, because I feel like nowadays men just like everybody can do what they want nowadays. Like, there's no really like strict line about how like a man has to act and be manly. Like, I'm open to like, however, if a guy wants to act like the way he does, like, cool, do that. Like, I wouldn't want to like tell him to act manly, or like, I don't know.
Like half, I guess. Like some men are still like manly. In what sense you mean though? Like,
I just mean
like Harry Styles.
No, like I don't know. Guys used to be like in our like evolutionary past. I mean, like guys used to be like, I don't know, just responsible and like providers and like caretakers and like lumbering wood, and like now I feel like guys just like sit in the rooms and play video games, and that is like what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, for sure. This generation's watered down, for sure.
Yeah, I would
way
say
watered
so
down
too. Yeah.
Well, it's like watered down, but you don't want like the woman in the kitchen and the man.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I was just gonna say.
That's
Like,
over.
if we're gonna talk about that, we could also say that it's the same for women, where women don't have to like reach that womanly standard quite as much anymore. Like, we're not just cooking and cleaning like we used to and popping out kids for them. I think it's like both genders have kind of realized that we don't have to stick to these same standards that we always used to, and we're kind of drifting away from that, which I personally really enjoy. I love to see manly women and womanly men, and I know that everyone in the comments is gonna hate me for that, but I'm sorry, that's just what I think. Like, I think that in the past we did have those strict norms and stuff, and a lot of people don't like it, but like that's just the way things are changing, and I think in the future it's going to be even more so. Like, we're not just going to ban that by being like super misogynistic or like whatever, you know.
Which Ninja Turtle are you, by the way? Are you Donatello?
Why do you ask that?
Oh, no, I'm just...
I am technically none of them right now. Could be any of them.
Okay. Do you want to answer her?
Oh, I mean, I personally really like traditional. Like,
Yeah,
I
that's a-
feel like weird saying that. That's the only reason. Like, back to the topic of talking about like whether you're a feminist. I feel like if I were to, what I would want feminism to be would that you would like you would be able to be free to make your own choice. Like, Cheyenne wants like a more feminine guy. Like, I personally like a really masculine guy. Like, that's just me, but I think you should be allowed to have your preferences. Like, I do like a traditional relationship. I do want someone that's dominant and that's going to take charge, but there needs to be balance in that, to not to the point where it's like the 50s where it's like I'm getting like beat, you know? Like that's what was happening. Like, we don't want that to happen, but you know, there still needs to be a balance. But like I do like a traditional man. That's just me though.
I don't think you would have been getting beat in the 50s.
I think you need to like do your like that was
Yeah,
a
you
pretty
could've
common like it was a pretty like
I think that's a myth. I don't think
that's a
wife
myth.
beating has ever been socially acceptable.
I actually really do think it was in the 1950s. Like, I'm being I took
1950s?
a feminist studies class. Like,
Well, I mean, there's no surprise. There's no surprise there.
I mean, I just took one class just like because it was actually a GE to fulfill. So, and I decided to take that class. But like, no, like women were actually very oppressed. Like they
Do you think men are more respectful of women in 2022
I think
versus in 1950?
Oh, they have to be, or else they're gonna get canceled. Because like if a man says something bad about a woman or disrespectful, he will get canceled.
Will a woman get canceled if she says something disrespectful about a man?
I think it depends on the severity of it, but I think there's like probably a little bit more leeway.
Yeah, no, probably not.
Of
Like,
what?
I saw that in like the last like episode I watched, and you guys were like sort of talking about that, and like the statement like girls say all the time, like men are trash. Like, that's said all the time. I've never ever, like, other than like in like, you know, like playful debate, like while you're like supposed to be debating it, does anyone ever bring up like that's like disrespectful or whatever. Even when like girls make jokes like entirely objectifying men, like it's just like a funny joke. No, I mean, yeah, but yeah, just as like a, you know, devil's advocate here.
No, good point. So, so your initial, by the way, Luke, do you want to chime in before I give my piece on this?
No, you can go for it.
Okay. So your question was, do you think that men are less masculine
Yeah.
today?
Yeah. Or
Yes,
yeah.
I would agree. I would agree with that. I would also say that women are less feminine.
Yeah.
So both of the genders are not adhering to their traditional gender roles. So,
Which could be like both a good and bad thing, you know, like for me, like I can't deny that there's like certain elements of like cultural progress of like what it means to be a girl that means that I can like be more like myself or have like more freedoms without being like stigmatized for it that I wouldn't have had decades before.
what more freedom? What do you mean?
Just like sexual freedoms, I guess.
Ah,
I mean,
okay.
like,
So
We're
like,
wearing
stuff,
pants.
able to like get a divorce, just like more like,
so
not even
like
just like legally.
are you talking about promiscuity, sleeping around? Because you said sexual
Yeah.
freedom.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's still like looked down upon, but nowhere near it would have ever been. Like in the past, which like isn't necessarily like totally like, which is like in some ways helpful, I feel like.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so the thing is, like, here's what I would say is that most women probably want men to adhere to their traditional gender roles, providing and protecting, but women don't want to adhere to their traditional gender roles.
Yeah, sure. I mean, well, I think the problem is that like it really is just like subjective. Like as someone, like when I grew up, like I remember growing up being like, I was a radical feminist, like growing up and being like, I don't want to get married. I'm going to have kids with like, like someone from every continent. Like, I don't know, all this shit. Like I was like, just like super, yeah, radical. Like, I don't know, all about that. I was like, I'm going to have like my own job, like whatever. Like like all of that sort of stuff. Like that was my take. And then like, or at first I was like, I'm never going to have like kids or whatever. I don't know. And then I just like grew out of it. And then I realized how much I wanted to identify with like traditional feminine roles. Like, no, like what's more, I don't want the career to be the center of my life. I want like my kids to, and like things like that. And so as I like fell into like what I wanted from like more of the feminine roles, that's when I started like specifically wanting a more like masculine role in like my partner. So it's definitely like you can't ask for something and not being able to like provide the compatible like counterpart to it. So I mean, in your response, yeah, like I'm asking for like a more masculine man, like with the like desire to be like more on the like providing for those like feminine roles as well.
Okay, so you want a traditional guy.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what does that traditional guy look like to you? Do you want to be you want to have kids?
Yeah.
Do you want to be working, or do you want the guy to provide totally?
They don't have to like provide totally, but I do think like it's helpful to your family to have like the more I like am able to like fully give into my kids, like the more, you know, like that's like in their like best interest. But not that I should just like stay at home and like do nothing all day. Like
Okay.
I'll like pursue my own passions in the same way that I like would want my partner to pursue their own like personal passions as well. But yeah.
But so okay, you want a traditional man. Do you consider yourself a traditional woman?
I do now, yes.
You do now,
Yes. When
Okay.
when I was growing up, I was like radically like
with the
feminist.
exception of the sexual purity component of being a traditional woman.
No, I like align with that as well.
You do?
Yeah.
But just earlier you said
People change.
Yeah, people change.
fair
So,
enough. Fair enough.
That's her past, and her past is her business.
Fair enough.
so.
Okay. We're going to move on. So